Dance along, kids. I love this one. Good morning. Little dancing for your Friday morning. All right, jumping in with the questions already. I love it. I'll start with yours in just a second. Good morning. All right. That warm you guys up? Ready for an awesome live Q&A today, I hope. Welcome, welcome. Can everyone hear me okay? See me okay? See comments okay? Give me a shout out, a hello. Let's make sure all the tech is working before I dive in. Turned it up and joining you in a little living room dance. I love it. That's what I want. It is Friday, right? So Friday is a day for dancing. Let's be honest. Every day is a day for dancing in Dr. Pingleland, but Fridays even more. And I do love that song. It takes me right back to high school. Well, I guess I was maybe in college when that came out. I'm not quite that young. But anyway, that was fun. That was a lot of fun. Good morning. I see you guys over on Facebook. Thanks for popping something into the chat, making sure that's working. I see all of you on Instagram already popping me questions. I love it. So I know there are many out there that may be new here. I love it when you introduce yourself. This is an opportunity to throw some questions out there. And so I say we're going to jump right in pretty quickly. Quick announcement. Tomorrow I do have a complimentary webinar, and we're going to talk about how stress makes you sick. The link is in my bio on Instagram. It's also in my bio on Facebook. Also, if you're on my emails, you've been getting some emails about that. So it is complimentary. Show up tomorrow morning. It's an encore performance because we did one last week on a Thursday afternoon and it was awesome. So I'm doing it again on a Saturday for those of you that had some work conflicts. And my program starts April 10th. My new group program, a bunch of you have signed up. So happy to have you there. I cannot wait to get chatting in the Facebook group. I can't wait to support you through this. Bottom line, before I jump in, guys, stress is normalized in our bodies right now. You may not even realize how much stress you're under. And a lot of the times you go to a doctor and you're treated for a symptom and you think it's just that, a migraine or a stomach, bloating or a thyroid problem, and you think it's just that. But what I'm here to tell you is that it's very likely stress is having an impact on that, and medication will only get you so far. Because if you don't fix the root cause, another symptom will develop. So yeah, you may manage the thyroid for now, but then what happens when your blood pressure starts to go up? Because we didn't address the root, right? Then you're put on blood pressure medication. And then that blood pressure medication may deplete your body in something. And if that happens, then it causes more stress on the body. And then another symptom like weight gain comes in. And then, another symptom like perimenopause starts kicking in, or your periods start getting horrible and you go and get that treated, right? When what we should be looking at is, what is the stress on the body and how can we reduce that so that we don't have this chain effect? And I want to say that because a lot of you have reached out and said, gosh, Dr. P, I love hearing about this, but I don't think I have any stress, and I'd like to argue we all do. And if you're on a medication, you have stress. If you don't eat, really, really high nutrient dense foods, you probably have stress. If you go to work, have a life, a husband, kids, you probably have stress, right? But what's happening is we're not addressing the root cause and we're causing more and more illness. So I firmly do believe it plays a huge role in diabetes, cardiovascular disease, immunity, like autoimmunity, GI issues, and more. So we're going to be talking about that tomorrow. I see Kelly saying you're off on Thursday. Did you come to the last one? I had one on a Thursday. It was last Thursday. Darn it. So anyway, I do want to jump into these questions because I see a ton of them jumping in already. So let's do it. All right, we're going to start, I promise. My favorite part. Yeah, I love it. All right, let's do it. I'm going to hit up these people who started jumping in right away on Instagram, and we will just move right through them. So excited to have you guys here. And let's get going. How do I treat migraines? Well, this is kind of going right back to what I was just talking about. I don't treat migraines. I treat the reason why the migraine is happening. Okay. So migraines have a zillion different causes, right? And this makes it very difficult for the traditional model to treat because they're just looking at the symptoms. So they're like, well, you have a migraine, take a medication, right? But there are so many different factors that go into migraines. The timing of the migraine, the severity of the migraine, certain factors that may trigger the migraine. And I don't have 2 migraine clients who are exactly the same, ever. In all the headaches and migraine clients I've ever treated, no 2 that are exactly the same. So what it really comes down to is I always recommend for people with headaches to really take a very good journal. A journal on inputs, outputs, timing, severity, what helps it, what doesn't. I mean, I want a book on give me the details of this migraine and then also doing a full workup, which means the entire endocrine system, nutritional, likely food allergies, inflammation, and looking at all of these things so that you can figure out where it's coming from. Once you know why the migraine is happening, the treatment becomes very clear, right? If you don't know where it's coming from, all you're stuck is taking anti-inflammatories, right? And what if it's not an inflammatory migraine? What if it's due to something else? Right? So that's how I treat it. I approach it looking at the root cause. Obviously, stress is involved in that. Stress is always involved in some sort of migraine or headache. I do also have a couple articles at drpingle.com on headaches. I think it's written under headaches. It might be written under migraines. I know I discuss migraines. I think I have maybe two or three different articles I've written on that. So drpingle.com, type in headache, see what pulls up, and hopefully that helps you. Really, it's investigation if you haven't figured out where it's coming from. All right, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hey, hi, my seasonal allergies are awful. Nothing is working. Any help? It depends. What's your diet like? There are things you can take that lower histamine response, okay? There are. NAC is a great one. Nettles, which is a very bitter tasting. I mean, I don't like the taste of nettles at all, but it works great for allergies. Quercetin, right? Vitamin C, any antioxidants and antihistamines are going to be helpful. However, once again, why are the allergies bothering you so much versus, say, me? Why is your body having a reaction to the environment more than mine? So I do also like to take a deep dive into gut health. So I usually find people with allergies have some sort of gut issue, whether that's an imbalance in flora. My Total Probiotic is great for that. That's a great standard across the board, awesome probiotic. But also looking at, is there inflammation in the gut, trouble digesting things? Like, is there something? So here's the thing, guys. Our immune system is kind of rooted in our gut. If you think about it that way, it's signaled by our stress response because we're going to have changes in immune function if we're always running from a bear. But the gut has a huge impact in what it allows to impact our body or not. So when you're having any sort of autoimmunity or immune issue or allergy issue, we always have to look at what is the gut health. Any chance you might have gut issues as well. Bloating, constipation, diarrhea, not absorbing food well, heartburn, things like that. I would definitely take a very strong look at that. Do I know anything about immunotherapy? If so, what are your thoughts? Yeah, I mean, it kind of depends on what immunotherapy and what the condition is. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of immunotherapy being used for different things. As with any treatment, I always say, okay, what's the situation? Have we looked for the root cause? And does this address, is this being utilized as a root cause fix, or is this being utilized as a temporary fix or a Band-Aid? And how are we going to put them all together? And what are the risks and benefits of everything, right? So immunotherapy could be anything. You could be talking about immunoglobulin infusions. You could be talking about using quercetin, dehistin, vitamin C, right? It's just saying that we're impacting the immune system. So if you're talking about like immunoglobulins infusions, if you have plenty of immunoglobulins, I don't really see why we would need more. Now, if you don't, you may very well benefit from a therapy like that. So yeah, case by case basis. Definitely in the healthy or the general population, I don't usually recommend any sort of infusions of antibodies. And there's a lot of side effects too with certain, like my mom, when she was going through the earlier stages of lymphoma, before they put her through chemo, they were using an immunotherapy and she seemed to feel pretty well on it. However, it still progressed to needing chemo, so I'm not really sure it did what it needed to do. Acid reflux, lots of triggers, even when I eat just veggies. Oh, going back to, oh, this is a different person because I see we've got the help with the seasonal allergies. I think I addressed that one, hun. Acid reflux. I had something over on Facebook. Naya said last week when you shared that adrenal fatigue equals low stomach acid equals trouble digesting protein. That blew her mind. Yeah. So here's the thing. When there's reflux, you got to look at the digestive function. Most of the time, I find you actually have low stomach acid. And part of the reason why you might be having trouble with vegetables is that your digestive enzymes are not working well. So you have low acid, low digestive function. You can't break those down. So keep this in mind. Vegetables are a carbohydrate and they have to be broken down extensively. Okay, with not to cause bloating or problems, right? So the first place that starts is in the mouth, and we release something called salivary amylase, and that starts breaking all of the little pieces down. Most of us, myself included, because I love broccoli, chomp the broccoli and swallow, right? Chomp, chomp. Not enough. You don't get enough amylase in there. It is really important to chew your vegetables really well. Now, let's say that this food lands in your stomach and you don't have enough acid to start breaking down the protein. That's going to cause you to bloat. Now, let's imagine that you have other things in there like Brussels sprouts and cabbage and carrots and whatnot, and you don't have enough of the enzymes for carbohydrates to come in and start breaking it down. Bloating, trouble, won't digest and move out of the stomach, hits the sphincter, comes back up. The little bit of acid that you have comes back up. So, like, I'm trying to find something I can use here. Like if this is your little stomach here, right? And you've got the food coming down into the stomach, the point of having the acid and the enzymes and all of that going into the stomach is to help the food move through to the intestines, right? If it doesn't, the stomach's going to stay full. If the stomach stays full, what's going to happen? It's going to start to stretch, right? And when it stretches, what's going to happen? That little trap door on the top is just going to slightly open. And then even if you have just a drop of acid in your stomach, that's going to burn your esophagus because your esophagus can't handle that acid. It's not built to. So a lot of people assume that when they have heartburn that they have a ton of acid. No, it does not take a lot of acid to burn your esophagus. You could have hardly any, right? The problem is usually that the stomach is so full because the digestive function isn't working. Going back to Naya's point, why would the digestive function not work when you're under stress, when you have adrenal fatigue? Because you're running from a bear. You're in the woods, you're running from a bear, you're not going to digest your food. So we have those two nervous systems, right, guys? We have the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic, fight or flight, parasympathetic, rest, and anyone? Digest, right? So we rest and digest when we're calm, not when we're running from a bear. So when we're running from a bear, we don't digest our food well. And when we don't digest our food well, we cause imbalances and the body gets stressed out because it can't absorb nutrients to run from the bear. So what does it do? It starts to raise insulin and glucose. It starts to pack on extra weight. It starts to compromise. This causes more stress on the body. So then even if absence of bear, let's say you're on vacation, you're chilling out, you have no stress around you at all, internally now you do. Does that make sense? So there's internal stress and external stress. So now internally you have stress and it causes something, heartburn. So you take a medication. Well, that medication blocks somewhere else, right? So it's just this ongoing thing. Does that make sense? So in the beginning, when I was talking about we all have adrenal fatigue or we all have stress, whether we recognize it or not, it's become so normal that we don't recognize it anymore. Does that make sense? That was fun. Did you guys enjoy that one? That was a fun topic. We need to talk about that. We need to talk about that more. Do you guys like that? Thumbs up. Was that a good explanation? Did that make sense? Too much? Did I lose all of you? You guys all got really quiet. Aha, heart. All right. Hello. Hello. I love your supplements. I'm currently taking total stress support. It makes me very sedated. I wake up very groggy. Normal? Should I continue? Yes and no. So one, I'm not sure what time you're taking it. Usually you take it in the evening. If you're taking it too close to bedtime and you go to bed late, you might want to take it earlier. See kind of how long it makes you go. The other thing though is it might be repairing something. So sometimes if your body really needs that rest, it will temporarily kind of make you feel like, whoa, I've slept really hard, right? But when you stand up and you start walking around, it should kick out pretty quickly. So you could play with the timing of it. But I have had that temporarily happen, particularly if there is some adrenal fatigue in there where the body is like, it's trying to repair. So it's overproducing you're getting more melatonin, you're getting more relaxing the cortisol a little bit. If you're starting to see changes in energy and pep in your step, I guess, during the day, that would also indicate that you're getting that deeper rest and it's just in an adjustment period. But you can take it a little bit earlier, in the evening as well. And I don't know if you're taking 1 or 2. You could go down and dose 2. Right? Are we still on Facebook? Are we there? I hope so. Reflux with veggies and bloating. Right. We just talked about that one. Anxiety high in the evenings, 3 days before period. Ooh, another great topic. You guys ready? All right. Why right before the period would we have anxiety? Now, once again, I want to point out, this is very common. This does not mean it's normal and you should ignore it. Okay? We seem to get the words common and normal confused, right? When a doctor says, oh, yeah, that's normal. What they mean is, oh, yeah, that's common. Okay? Does common mean that's okay and we should just ignore it and just go about our lives with anxiety 3 days before our period? No, it's our body saying, hey, you're not paying attention to me. Listen, right? So we have to listen to that. So 3 days before your period is when your progesterone levels are starting to drop back down. Okay. So when we go into that 3rd week of our cycle, our progesterone levels are going up and they're dropping. So one of the reasons you could have more anxiety, number one, is if you have a level of adrenal fatigue, progesterone, when you have a lot of progesterone, I need to diagrams today, man. Cortisol, progesterone. Okay. So cortisol should be down here. So progesterone kind of goes up. Progesterone, when cortisol needs something, will donate to cortisol so that cortisol can go up. And that triggers anxiety. So what happens, one, it could be that it's feeding cortisol too much. So when it gets up to its highest levels, the body's like, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. And they swap real fast. And that causes a problem. The other thing is if the progesterone is dropping rapidly, if it's one that builds up and it's and it just falls real quick, that also causes that imbalance in estrogen and cortisol to progesterone. So what that tells me is in the days before your cycle, there's a problem with the progesterone and the cortisol balance moving into the period. That's what that tells me. Could you test for that? Sure. Would be a pain in the butt because you'd have to check every single day, you'd have to check your hormones for months on end, right? During that cycle, you'd have to do comparative. Or you could go with the assumption that, hey, I know that progesterone and cortisol have this combination, right? So I'm going to, one, support my natural production over on the adrenal glands with B vitamins, vitamin C, probiotics, minerals. And on the other side, I'm going to make sure that, and I'm going to do the mind-body stuff during that time to try to downregulate that cortisol trigger, right? So I'm going to treat the adrenal fatigue, see what happens with this. And then if this isn't quite working, then you can also throw in herbs and things that help with the hormone balance. But typically, almost always a cortisol issue when you see that. Does that help? Gosh, you guys are getting me excited today. These are the topics I love to talk about. You guys are killing me. I love it. Did that help you? Did that make sense? Is that too complicated to understand? Or are you with me? If it isn't, shout it out there, okay? Because I want to know. Or give me a heart. There's one heart. We got one person out there, right? Nettle's not working. Yeah, once again, going back to what I was saying with looking at the gut health. Nettles is just simply has a particular action. It's not fixing anything. And that's the thing we need to consider, right? I mean, it's an antioxidant, but sleep anxiety at night. Any recommendations? Same thing, but different time. So once again, at night, if your cortisol is going up at night rather than down, you will have anxiety. And you will have waking and busy mind and non-restful sleep. So what does that mean? That means we're in a stage of adrenal fatigue and you have to pay attention to your stress. So these are the things. It's funny because when people, like I said, people are like, oh, I don't have adrenal fatigue because they hear the word fatigue and they think they're supposed to be flat out on the floor. If you're not sleeping restfully, if you're getting sick regularly, if you have symptoms that nobody's fixing except by managing them, or you have anything in your hormone system, anything, blood sugar, thyroid, sex hormones, I can guarantee you there is something going on in the adrenal glands that's taking over that pathway. And if there's something going on in the adrenal glands, you're also going to have nutritional deficiencies because your body has to burn through those nutrients in order to keep running. So when you have those nutritional deficiencies, then you start to see decreases in serotonin, which can also lead to anxiety and depression. You start to see changes in gut, right? Gut health and absorption of nutrients. You start to see changes in immune function because the immune system requires a lot of the same vitamins and minerals that the adrenal glands do. But here's the thing, if you're running from the bear, your body doesn't care if you have a cold. It just wants you to get away from the damn bear, right? So it's going to shuffle those nutrients over there, and your poor immune system, your allergies, your sinus infections, your low-end colds, your flus, your COVIDs, your whatever, are going to walk right in the door because they can. Because you're over here running. You're not paying any attention. Does that make sense? This is adrenal fatigue. That is what it is that the adrenal glands are just taking everything from your body and leaving your body to rest or to go, not rest. Does that make sense? That was very helpful. I didn't realize how those work together. When I can't sleep at night, I take my progesterone medicine and I sleep very good. Right, because progesterone and cortisol play in the same pathways, right? I will warn you, if you have an underlying adrenal fatigue and you're taking progesterone and you're not also addressing the adrenal glands, you will at some point see the progesterone feed the cortisol and you won't sleep as well anymore. And people think, oh, I just need a higher dose of progesterone at that point, right? Because they're going along, let's say they're taking 50 milligrams of progesterone, they're sleeping great, and they do this for years on end, and they're not addressing the adrenals over here, and they're under stress. So what happens is then the progesterone starts to say, oh, I'll give you a couple milligrams, oh, I'll give you a couple milligrams, oh, I'll give you a couple milligrams, and then all of a sudden, now you're waking up a little, you're not sleeping as well, and your doctor says, oh, you probably just need more progesterone. Whoop. And then the progesterone says, oh, we're just going to feed the cortisol a little bit more, and we feed the cortisol a little bit more. Do you see the trend? So always make sure if you're taking sex hormones, estrogen, progesterone, whatever, that you are also addressing the rest of the endocrine system, because if you aren't, it's gonna come back to bite you in the butt. Yeah? Our bodies adapt. That's why they're so amazing. Yeah? When I can't sleep at night, I saw that one. Sorry. I saw a great gastroenterologist yesterday. Awesome. Doing extensive lab work and upper GI with contrast abdominal and pelvic ultrasound, contrast checking for tumors, lupus, Wilson disease, checking my iron and ferritin, and seeing, I believe, copper in my body. I screenshotted the labs. I wish I could show you on here. I'll have to do it on the next webinar. I won't do a lab review like that, just HIPAA. I can't give you a diagnosis over social media. But you can always fill out an application to work with me, and we can figure out options for me to be able to give you my insight on that. Hello, doctor. Any medication for my knee pain? No, I don't really do that type of thing. I don't really do knee pain, and I definitely don't do medications for it. Some things you could look into are some of the different injections, not cortisone, but things like hyaluronic acid, PRP, which is where they take the blood out of your body, spin it down and put it in, stem cell therapy, things like that. Lots of great specialists in that area, not my specialty. That was, okay, yeah, I saw that. Valerian tincture is my go-to when I'm feeling overstimulated at bedtime. Naya, I agree with you. Valerian is one of my favorite herbs. I write about it all the time. If you guys have never heard of it, if you go to drpingle.com and you type in valerian, Valerian, you will see many articles about valerian. Do you know why valerian works? Do you want to know? If you do, give me thumbs ups or hearts. I'll give you a sec. Very good explanation. No one wants to know why valerian works? All right, well, so be it. Okay, valerian works because it's a GABA agonist. So it works similar to a Xanax in a natural form, right? But it's non-addictive because it doesn't force the body to bind GABA. So when you're doing something like a Xanax or an Ativan or whatever, which people are using to calm down anxiety and sleep, those force the body to bind the neurotransmitter GABA, and there's no choice to unbind it. It stays bound for so many hours, right? And so the natural GABA in the body has no reason to continue to increase. And so you see a lower production of natural GABA, and you see increasing levels of Xanax in order to meet that GABA requirement. when you use something like valerian, it has a GABA feel, but it allows the body to decide to bind and release. It doesn't force the body to hold it. And that's a lot of the reasons why it helps. There's a lot of different aspects to valerian. There's more than that, but that's one of the explanations that most people seem to understand, is essentially it's helping the body calm by working with the natural production of GABA. Good morning. How to address adrenal glands. Hey, my favorite question. First of all, if you haven't signed up for my webinar tomorrow, you should. It's in my link in bio. Sign up for my webinar tomorrow because we're going to talk about that. I help people in many different ways with this process, depending on where you're starting, right? So one of the best ways that I say for anyone who's like, hey, I just want the basics, I want the education, I want to understand, one, where is stress impacting my body? Because if you don't understand where it's impacting, you can't possibly heal it. Because so what the body's trying to do when it's in stress is it's trying to tell you that it's under stress. So it's giving you certain symptoms. So learning how stress causes symptoms and the little details, like I just talked about, when you wake up at a certain time of night, or when you're seeing it happen at certain times in your cycle, it's telling me very clearly where that is. So I want to share that education with you. How do you take assessment of your own body so that you can lay out, okay, it seems to be impacting my thyroid, my hormones, and this and that. And then from that, you have to start to reduce the stress on the body. And what I can do, and I have a group program coming up, guys, and it's fantastic at this. It goes through nutritional rich diet, what to eat for the adrenal function, how to fuel your body appropriately. And that does not mean starve. It tells you how to do exercises that help stimulate parasympathetic activity. So calming the body by accessing the vagus nerve. There's a lot of exercises that you can do physically that actually calm the body down and help reduce adrenal fatigue. There are supplementation, which I go over in the program in educational format. And then if it turns out that certain supplements are right for you, you'll have the education to know kind of which ones are good for you. You guys ask me all the time, what's good for hormones? Well, what are the hormones doing? Right? So if you have that understanding, it's easier for you to be like, oh, I would benefit from valerian, or I would benefit from this or that. So we have that education. And then we talk a lot about mindset shift. So I did a podcast interview yesterday, and it was a great one because it was all about like gratitude and shifting the way that you view stress. So for example, every time I find myself saying, wow, this is hard, like this is a tough time in my life, I am just really struggling, I now change it as, wow, this is a great opportunity. This is a great opportunity to grow. The world is teaching me something because I'm moving forward, right? If you're always stagnant and you don't have things throwing at you, then that means you're not moving, right? You're not growing. So every time you're growing, and especially when you think, oh, I was almost there, I almost had it, and then this happened, right? Or gosh, I just feel like I keep running and running and nothing's happening. Like when you're in that mode, it's because you're too much in the mode. And there's some mindset changes that teach your body to say, we're not under stress. Why are you freaking out? So we also do a ton on mindset coaching. And the program includes weekly calls with me as well. So we do like a group call where we come in, we support each other, we talk about these types of things, this type of live Q&A, but in a tight-knit group. And I really think if you're trying to look for something like that, check out the totalenergyturnaround.com. Make sure the V is there. The Total Energy Turnaround. It starts April 10th. So you got to jump in. If you want just to learn more about this, show up for my webinar tomorrow. I will be, just hopping on. There's no fee for that. And we'll be having a conversation. Seem to have deleted the confirmation email for the webinar. Would you be sending a reminder with a link? Yeah, it'll go out, Steve. I think I have one going out today in the afternoon, and then an hour before the webinar, you should get an email with a link as well. If I set the reminders up correctly, I think we're good. And if not, let me know. Thank you. I agree. I felt that way. Yeah. And I think so much of us do, and we think there's nothing we can do about it, when really there are so many lifestyle factors that we can actually do to reduce stress on the body. And these are things you guys can do at home. You just have to learn how. And nobody's teaching you. You don't go to the doctor and be like, wow, I really have a lot of stress. Oh, well, let me sit down and let's talk about mindset, or let's talk about nutrient-rich foods for adrenal glands, or let's talk about ways that we can view this situation and make it better for you. Nobody's talking about that. And there is so much value in that. So to be able to pop into the private Facebook group or come on the live Q&A for the group and be like, Dr. Pingle, here's where I'm struggling, and I can help guide you through that. There is so much education to be had. And I do think you can't really get very far with anything until you understand why it's happening, right? I got you, Kelly. I was just making sure. I need to go. I'll watch the rest later. My mom is coming for a visit. Enjoy your mother. Very grateful for that. You are welcome for today. Good. You guys have any more questions? You guys are all quiet. Did I freak you out? Do we need to dance again? I got to pick my closing song for tonight as well, for today as well. I have it. I just have to find it while I'm waiting for you guys to throw me a question. Did that help though? It's basically 4 different aspects to adrenal fatigue: nutrition, parasympathetic, exercise, supplement, and mindset. Mindset, hands down, the hardest. Hands down. You mentioned hypertension meds cause stress. Yeah, they can, because anytime you're trying to block something, so let's just think about it this way. This is a great question, actually. And granted, let me preface this by saying there are a wide variety of hypertension medications, all of which have different mechanism of actions. You've got your beta blockers, you've got your calcium blockers. So did you hear the word blocker? I'm coming back to that. Blocker, beta blocker, calcium blocker, ACE inhibitor, right? So when I'm using words that say block, inhibit, stop, think of this. A plus B, an arrow goes to C. If I'm blocking a normal physiological reaction, that's going to cause stress to the body. If you had a conveyor belt making a product and it's moving along and it's making all this stuff, right? And someone comes in and starts blocking one segment of it, where then a piece of it is missing. Do you understand? So any medication can do that. Hypertension medications are notorious for that because they're blocking. Okay, so that's point number 1. Whenever you block something, you're also inhibiting nutrition in some way, or you're inhibiting some sort of pathway in some way, and you're causing an adaptation by the body to get around it. So if you're trying to make this pen on the conveyor belt, and for some reason this piece right here isn't showing up, you're going to now have to take the pen somewhere else to get a backup thing to get the pen together to get it off the line, right? So you've now created another step for your body. And when you create another step for your body, that requires what? More energy. So it requires more energy to go around that, right? Which means it takes energy away from somewhere else, right? Most likely in your hair, your nails, your wrinkles, because we don't care when we run from a bear if we look horrible, right? We just don't care. So we're going to start pulling energy from other areas in order to make that pen. Yeah? Make sense? So the other thing is, and this comes to the question, what's the cause of hypertension? There's multiple causes of hypertension, but one of the most common is, think about this. You're in the woods. You're hiking. You see a bear. What happens? Ah! Does your blood pressure go up? Heck yeah, your blood pressure goes up. So you're going to pump up your blood pressure. You're going to change your blood sugar. You're going to change everything in your body to run from that bear. And then you turn the corner and there's another bear, and there's another bear, and there's another bear. Okay? What does a beta blocker do? It blocks sympathetic output. So if you're someone in a hypertension medication that's a beta blocker, you're blocking the sympathetic nervous system, which means there is a problem in your sympathetic nervous system, which means you're running from a bear all the time, which means you have adrenal fatigue, and we need to address it. Now, could there be another factor involved, like a blocked artery or high homocysteine or inflammatory markers or diabetes or whatnot? Yes, there are multi-layers to health, but under all of the things I just mentioned, stress has an impact. So until you address that, you're only going to get so far with diet. You're only going to get so far with medication. You're only going to continue to deplete nutrients and continue to cause more stress on the body, which is going to cause other problems. Does that make sense? Yeah? So these are some of the things you always have to remember. Is knowing the mechanism of action of the medications you take tells you a ton. Tells you a ton. If it's a beta blocker, there's a problem with the sympathetic nervous system, right? If it's an ACE inhibitor and we're messing with electrolytes in the body, we need to consider that, right? Why are the electrolytes off in the body? Well, one of the most common reasons electrolytes are off in the body, do you want to take a really good guess? Come on, everybody. Give it to me. Stress, right? Stress causes electrolyte problems, causes dehydration, right? Where do the adrenal glands sit? On the kidneys. What's another type of blood pressure medication? Angiotensin, or not sorry, angiotensin, ARBs. ARBs have an issue with blocking aldosterone out of the kidneys. Now, why would we all of a sudden start pumping a hormone out of our kidneys? Oh, adrenal fatigue, problem with cortisol, problem with adrenal glands, right? So these all overlap. And I think I get passionate about it because it kind of ticks me off that you go to the cardiologist and they're like, oh, do you just take the beta blocker? Hey, dude, why are we taking a beta blocker? Let's focus on that. And if we have to use the medication in the meantime while we fix the problem, so be it. But we've got to fix the problem. Hypertensive meds are like one of the top 4 medications, and I think it is the beta blocker, actually. I'll have to double check that. Definitely in the top 10, if not the top 5 medications used for blood pressure, right? Diabetes medications, same thing. You're running from a bear. What are you going to do? Jump up your insulin. What does metformin do? Metformin is an insulin resistance med. Why? Right? Is it just because we're eating bad food? Doesn't help. But there's another factor there, right? GERD medications, probably almost number 1 by now, below opiates. Don't even get me started on opiates. Not a good one to get me started on. Absolutely pisses me off. But if it doesn't piss you off, go watch Dope Sick on, is it Apple TV or Hulu? I can't remember. Right? Chlorothiazide, I believe, is a diuretic, right? That's off the top of my head. No, that's HCTZ. Sometimes the names are so close that I don't prescribe them every day. So I feel like that's a diuretic though. So if you're taking something like that, what is it doing for hydration levels and your mineral levels? Right? It's depleting them. Do you think not having enough water and not enough minerals to run those reactions is going to be stressful on your body? Yeah, because if A plus B over the arrow to go to C, there's a whole bunch of minerals there that push the reaction and you don't have them, your body's going to go, I got to find an alternative to make this pen. And it's going to go make the pen somewhere else. Make sense? Fire. I like it. I know, I get a little fired up, don't I? But I just don't understand why people aren't recognizing this. And I think there's such a disconnect in the conventional world with stress. Stress is just considered normal. Hey, that's okay. Everyone's under stress. Yes, we are. That's the freaking point. That's the point. That's why we have to do something, because we can do something. We can. So if you guys want to do something about it, check out the Total Energy Turnaround program, because I am going to take you guys through this, because I want to reverse this. My mission is to get people to understand that stress is killing them and how to fix it so we can all live joyfully, happily, and long. Right? All right. I could listen to you every day. Thanks for the information. Oh, thanks, Tim. Will tomorrow's webinar be on a replay for watching later? We try. You have to register to get the replay, and it's short, and I can't promise it because sometimes there's technical difficulty. So it's not a promise. If we are able to get it and we're able to get it out, we will. We were able to replay the other one, so we'll see. But it's only for a couple days. I have been taking 400 milligrams magnesium bush Lucina tea before bed, and it works well to help me sleep. Can I give the same dose to my 18-year-old daughter? Unfortunately, I can't answer dosing questions over social media. You'd have to talk to her doctor, considering her weight, her medical history, and all of that. But it would definitely be one that I would feel comfortable asking the doctor. You know, odds are pretty good, but I would absolutely check first, for sure. Yes, please. Yes, please. Okay. Hey, I caught up. Who has a question? Oh, here we go. Years ago, before I did a total lifestyle change, I was put on a beta blocker, which gave me drug-induced lupus. Thank you, Debbie. My point exactly. And what is lupus? Lupus is an autoimmune disease. Autoimmune diseases are highly linked to stress. In fact, 80% of people who are diagnosed with autoimmune disease say that they had a stressful event within the year prior. So imagine this. Let's imagine that your body's trying to get away from that bear, right? Like, it's trying to live, okay? And you're running, and all of a sudden someone comes along and says, stop! And they just put a rock in your path, and you're like, ugh! And this bear is chasing you. You're, Jesus! And you don't have the energy to get over the rock because the beta blocker's like, nope, you're not running. And you're like, no, I gotta run. Nope, You're not running. But there's a bear. Nope. Sorry, you're not running. Right? So either you're going to adapt by your blood pressure going up, or your blood pressure is going to get so low, and now you're going to start to get eaten by the bear. Right? So you're going to get neurotransmitters in other ways to try to attempt the increase in blood pressure. Cortisol, epinephrine, norepinephrine, right? So you're blocking some of that with the beta blocker. The body's going to say, okay, how can I take some of my serotonin, convert it into dopamine so that I can keep freaking running, right? Oh, well, that's blocked by the SSRI. Well, shoot. Okay, let's take some vitamin C and some B vitamins. Let's change the blood sugar. Let's up the insulin, get our body to make more blood sugar so we can keep running from the bear. Okay, great. That's easy because it's slow. 2 years later, you have diabetes. Does that make sense? Your body will fight to survive. Right? So, if your body is fighting to survive, it's going to adapt. And when it adapts, it's going to cause most likely another problem, which is why we see compounding health conditions in our society. People don't just stick with high blood pressure. High blood pressure to diabetes, or diabetes to high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, immune issues, cancer, they all compound, right? Why? Because our body's adapting, because we're freaking amazing. Do you know that your body is freaking amazing? Like, amazing. So, it's going to fight for you. So learning how to connect your head to your body to understand what your body's trying to say is the key to health, hands down. Okay? Remember that. So many times, and I'm guilty of this too. Let's say I go to Pilates, I pull my back out, I'm like, God damn, sorry, I hate it. I'm mad and I'm complaining. Wait a minute. What should I take from that situation? How did I do it? Wow, maybe I'm not strong enough in that area. Maybe my body's saying you pushed it a little bit too hard. You didn't pay attention to holding in your core correctly when you did that back exercise. You were not present. Right? When I'm present, when I work out and I'm 100% present, I don't get injuries. When you get injuries is when you're not 100% present, right? So the body trying to say, like, all of us get sick. When I get sick, it's a bummer. Oh, I can't go somewhere, whatever. Well, my body's telling me it needs something. So what is it that it needs? And then feed it, and then tell gratefulness to the body for telling you that it's ill or that it needs help. And then it's basically a cry for help, and it's asking you to go figure out what the heck's going on. Right? Make sense? Debbie, with that, can drug-induced lupus return years later with lupus or other autoimmune diseases? Yeah. I don't think it'll happen. I don't think you're as likely to have it happen if you're paying attention to the stress response. But it can, because it's already been triggered, right? Those antibodies have already been triggered. So they're looking for the next trigger. They're waiting for the next bear. Oh my God, Piggy is totally snoring. Are you snoring? You're not even asleep. Your eyes are open. And then they're snoring. Oh, she's so cute. And you guys see her on the Facebook, I think. She's on the chair. Snoring away. All right, I got 2 minutes. Okay, I was on my soapbox a lot today. Was it okay? Did you guys like it? Did you find it helpful? The takeaways were, if you want to learn more about this and you just want to show up tomorrow morning, it's 9 a.m. Pacific time, which then, so 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 Eastern time, you have to register. So if you're on my email chain, you should have received opportunities to register. If you're on Instagram, you can go to my link in bio. If you're on Facebook, you can go to the website on my bio and it'll take you there as well. Or you can look at my posts, because I'm putting posts up for the webinar this week as well with direct links to register. You definitely have to register to go, but I think we're going to talk a lot about this. And if you're looking for something to do, check out the Total Energy Turnaround Program. It's a great first step. I also want to say, many of you reach out and say, oh, I'd love to do one-on-one with you. It's not in the budget. I don't know what to do. This is a great first step, because all of my clients, even my 101, I encourage to do this program. So we all kind of move through it together. And I think it's a great way to just kind of get an understanding of where is stress impacting your body. Because if you don't understand that, we can't move forward anyway, right? We have to know how the body is being impacted. And once we have that piece of information, it opens up a world of doors and opportunities to heal. I just think you have to have the education first. And what we're lacking in our society is the education. So I have laid that program out where every week we learn about how stress impacts different areas of the body. I can't possibly talk about it all in an hour, right? So it needs to be a course where every week we learn more and we start doing some self-reflection, some journaling, some nutrition therapy, and start figuring out, okay, what is my body trying to say? What does it thrive on? You know, and that's what this program does. So if you guys were on the fence, highly recommend you sign up for it. We start April 10th. I still have a few spots left. I would love to have you in there. I really would, especially you guys that show up every week and ask questions. My hope would be that I can work with you and at least guide you. If we can't do one-on-one, let's at least do it as a group, right? And figure it out. Your skin is shining. Thank you. That's because you guys have me talking about stuff I love to talk about. I love it. All right. We're going to switch up the song on the way out to go another one of my favorites, which is not a hip hop favorite. It actually reminds me very much of my dad, who I lost when I was 24 years old to a stroke very suddenly. He was in a vegetative coma. I was never able to say goodbye. Someone's asking, is it possible to have a payment plan that is broken down further than 2 payments? At the moment, I offer 2 payments, but you could always put that on a credit card, right? The payments, and break that down further, right? I do 2 payments, but there's no interest. So if I did a payment plan longer than that, I'd have to add interest. And so I have a lot of people that use a lower interest credit card and they break the 2 payments down into that and they can extend it as long as they want, right? So that's one option. At the moment, though, I just have the 2 payment option with no interest, 0. It doesn't cost any more to break it into 2 payments. And the first payment is at sign up, and the second payment is a month later, I believe. Okay? Hopefully that helps. I might do more payment plans in the future, but like I said, I don't want to have to worry about the interest, and I don't want to charge you guys more, because I have to charge you more to do that, right? So, what was I going to say? Dad passed of a stroke, and so when I was in the hospital with him, he loved Billy Joel. And so I would put Billy Joel on headphones while he was in a coma and sit next to his bedside, and we would listen to Billy Joel. So shout out to my dad in heaven today, who's been gone over 20 years, 22 years, with a little sign off with Billy Joel. Thanks for showing up, guys.
Don't go changing to try and please me. You never let me down before. Don't imagine you're too familiar, and I don't see you anymore. I would not leave you in times of trouble. We never could have come this far. I took the good times, I'll take the bad times. I'll take you just the way you are. Don't go try.
Bye, guys. See you next week.
Some new fashion. Don't change the color of